Insecurity constitutes one of the pressing challenges in Edo State. Although it is a national phenomenon, but the manifestations in recent times in the state is disturbing, with rising waves of kidnapping and other criminal activities. And of course, this is said to undermine national stability and socio-economic development, while Nigerians are calling for stronger security measures. And so in this week's edition of Midweek Connect, we will be looking at insecurity in the state and the way forward. I am Droppable Achibo, a regular host, and of course, it's always co-hosted Ifomo Kafu, which of course, when the camera goes to her, you get to see her. She's here together. Ifomo, you're welcome. And of course, we are in between. Someone is in between us.
Exactly.
It is in between us. Of course, when we are talking security,
I had to say that the cameraman was very spontaneous. Like quickly come to me.
Someone is in the midst of us, and you know when we talk of security, it matters most. Talking about the Nigerian police force, we know they have a duty to protecting lives and property, like the elder would say. And so we have here in the studio the PPRO, Edo State Police Command.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Last month she was here to speak on all matters of insecurity. You can never exhaust it.
No, not at all.
Because it's a society that keeps evolving and things happen. So she's here again to talk more on what is happening recently in the state. Welcome to the studio once again.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you so much. But before we go into that discussion, I think we have a backgrounder to launch us into discussion. Let's take a look.
It's taking time.
Okay, probably we'll get to let you see it in the course of our discussion. Yes, we're here, PPRO. We are looking at insecurity in Edo State. First and foremost, what are we up against in the state presently, as far as security matters are concerned?
Oh, well, we have our security challenges here in Edo State, but before I say anything, I think it's quite important for us to separate perception from reality, so to say, because a lot of false narratives out there making the whole place look really unsafe, but in the real sense, the reality says otherwise. You know, as a security agent, the one of the things that may not seem like much but can do worse is misinformation. Misinformation can cost lives. It can throw a peaceful place into chaos. It can cause a lot of damage.
Alright, PPR, I think something we need to resolve from there. But let's take a break now. When we come back, you'll talk more on that.
For so long, young people were thought not viable for politics and governance, and as such, they were relegated to the sidelines of political arena. They were seen merely as a voting bloc that sometimes could be induced and used to manipulate electoral processes and rig elections. But nowadays, there is a paradigm shift among the young people from inactive participation to active engagement in politics. The youths are said to be the strength, energy, and the future.
Welcome back. You know, we are humans, we act common. So, we've been talking about insecurity here in Edo State, and the PPRO was saying something before we had to pause to let you have what was on air. So we are coming back to her to hear us talk more. But she was trying to say something about perception and reality. So please, PPRO, let's hear you more.
Yeah, so in as much as we acknowledge we have security challenges here in Edo State, but the reality is not what is being perceived, especially on social media. The Edo State Police Command, under the leadership of CP Monday Agbonika, is ably playing its part in the fight against insecurity, especially kidnappings in Edo State.
Alright, so right now, what is the command having on its hands? I'm saying that this is quite the area that we are really seeing ourselves as if we are, let me use the word, kind of stressed up. It's so, the security aspect, this particular aspect, we've always said it, those states first with kidnapping, cultism, and armed robbery. Those three criminal activities is really ongoing in the state, predominant here. But which one would you say is having the upper hand at present that the state command of the police force is battling?
Okay, well, we have a lot of challenges at various degrees, but right now we've been able to nip cultism to the bud. And although once in a while we have isolated cases, but we make sure we go after them and we get them. We've been recording a lot of successes when it comes to cultism, and so far we are no longer having that. There's this time they were doing scores, they call it scores. Okay. Yeah, so every time you hear 5-2, 3-1,
really?
And you think it's a joke, but these are numbers of deceased persons. These are number of persons killed. It was that bad before the coming of CP Monday.
Even during December period, you hear this cultism.
If you notice the last Christmas Eve celebration, the last New Year's Eve celebration, there was no cult killing, no record of cult killing. That's to show you how far the command has taken this war against cultism too. And we aside that, we also have our issues with kidnappings, and we have various types of kidnappings. You will discover that in Edo State, the type and style of kidnapping that is taking place in the Edo North is different from the type and style that is taking place in Edo South. So different
how
from
do you paint the picture of these differences you are talking about?
Now they vary. We do what we call crime mapping.
Okay.
Yes, we have it at the state headquarters, and the Commissioner of Police personally mentored all the DPOs on how to do crime mapping even at divisional level. Yeah. So even in your own little area, we record the crimes, the types of crimes, the pattern, the time, and everything about. I don't want to go into details. Okay. Yeah. So this is what helps you filter out what is what and which is which. Then when we all collate this at the headquarter level, you will discover that what is predominant in Auchi, the time it happens, the way and manner it happens, is different from what is happening in Igobazua, for instance. The way it happens, the style in which
geographically,
because Edo is blessed with a very good topography.
Okay, large land mass.
Yeah, and you have all the ups and downs. Everything is in Edo State. In fact, you have a very conducive forest for some of these crimes. Something that is supposed to be for economic advantage, but these criminals want to take over, which is what we are pushing against, and we will not let it happen.
Okay, so I know state government came up with the mantra of Operation Flush Out Kidnappers and Cultists, and they've been using it, since the governor came on board. So how is the police command, the state police command, complementing or working together with the state government to achieve success where it concerns kidnapping and cultism?
Yes, we have a task force that was set up by the state government, and members of that task force are police officers too. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's not just police officers, we have civilians there, we have the vigilantes, we have other security agencies in that same task force to constitute the body of this task force. And every operation we go out for, you must see the police. Yeah. And even when this particular task force handle cases, they hand over to police and we further investigation. If you arrest one person and you hand over to the police, in the course of investigation, that one person will lead us to probably 10 others. And not just that, we make other discoveries or recoveries of, and which is one of the most important thing when you are fighting crime. It's not just enough to catch a criminal, but if you're able to recover something like rifle, you've been able to mend their operational assets. Because if a criminal is living in, let's say for instance, somebody's house or one house with maybe 2 others, and that thing that made him to start going into crime, the moment he's arrested and his operational asset is still
within that vicinity,
he has hope of going back to do.
Aside that, some other person might even take advantage, pick up their arms and do something worse. So it's not just enough to arrest some violent criminal. It is important to maim them totally, which is what the Commissioner of Police, CP Monday Agbonika.
Okay, you're talking about maiming them permanently, successfully. So I want to come in with the raid that the police command, I don't know if it was in collaboration with the state sometime last month, in one bush, and I know one of my colleague Bukala covered it. So I don't know, how do you count that as a success? Because the general public are still looking up to the updates, because some of them are still at large. So how do you see
that was not a raid. Yes. Now let me give you a background story to what happened. We received a kidnapping report of some women in Iyowa community of Ekiadolo axis, and the Commissioner of Police immediately deployed the violence crime response unit, and they took over the case, the anti-kidnapping section equally. So they were deployed to Igobazua, and they were there, including the command drone team. So they were there permanently. And one thing with the CP is, whenever there is a kidnapping and a deployment, you don't come back until the safe rescue and apprehension of perpetrators of those crimes, safe rescue of the victims and apprehension of the offenders. So now, when they got there, they started tracking, and eventually the victims were rescued. We had 3 women who were initially kidnapped and 2 were rescued. One was missing. So we started trailing these kidnappers, because when you are fighting these persons, you have to be very careful. When they are able to shoot at you freely, you can't do same with them, because of the lives of the victims. They always use as shield for themselves. So when we secured the safe rescue of these victims, that was when we started going after them. We laid ambush for them at about 3 a.m. and then when we saw them, the operatives exchanged fire with them, and that was when some of them escaped with bullet injuries. Now this particular one that was taken from the viral video you saw was eventually traced from the blood drips. So he was traced to where he was receiving treatment. Exactly. Yes. So
receiving treatment inside the bush, or
no, he was traced for days inside. He was bleeding for days inside the forest. So we were on his trail. So when it's like he found out that we're still on his trail, so because he was the one bleeding badly. Yes. So that was why we were able to follow him up, and eventually we discovered that he left the forest. He was now in town. So we busted where he was. That was how he was arrested. Now he was now the one that confessed and led us to the recovery of the remains of the victim. Exactly. Now some of them escaped to other states, which too have already been arrested at Ogun State,
Okay.
Yes.
Talking about border, porous nature of most of our borders.
Exactly. So, and Edo State has a very large forest area, where from forest it borders to Delta State, from forest it borders with
two close to
state.
one another. The states are surrounding this.
Exactly. So,
we are still on a kidnapping. We know that recently, I don't know if police are aware of that, there was a video of a woman this week that was kidnapped along Airport Road. From what we saw in the video, is the police aware of the situation? What's the police doing about it? Because we are talking of kidnapping. It was in the broad daylight, and people are like, what really happened? What would have happened in such a time like that they were able to do it so successfully and went away with the woman? People are just wondering, so how is the police handling it?
Well, we received the report on the same day of the incident, and immediately the Commissioner of Police deployed the Violent Crime Response Unit and Anti-Kidnapping Unit. It happened that this family were on their way back from church, and they passed by the vegetable market to acquire some food stuff.
Okay.
And while their boot was open and the things were being moved inside, this particular Lexus vehicle, a red Lexus vehicle, was trailing them from God knows where down to where they were parked, and came out, abducted the woman. The husband was the one who laid the complaint, and they zoomed off in that same red Lexus vehicle. So when the Commissioner of Police deployed the Violent Crime Response Unit to take over the case from the division, we've started our technical analysis and other investigations, and we are already making significant progress, which I can't air in public for now, of course, but I can assure you that in less than no time we are going to secure the safe rescue of this woman, and not just that, the apprehension of the perpetrators of this crime.
Okay, it's just very positive to hear of the apprehension, which we'll also look forward to. But the area I want you to tell us more is this area of proliferation of firearms. Because when I was watching the report, I was wondering, when those guys came out from that red car, I thought they were policemen, but at the end of the day, I got to, when the story was now flying, I got to know that they were criminals. So you now begin to wonder, so is it like everybody is now, most people are now handling, firearms without being, seen or whatever? So proliferation of firearms in the states. So people are really worried about that.
Well, the Commissioner of Police already gave a marching order for mopping up of arms, which we've been doing since the beginning of this year. In fact, we started it during the Yuletide period, and we've not relented. We are already going, any information we have on firearms at any point or any place within the state, we make sure we mop it up, and we have been making significant progress on that. So we are mopping up firearms, and nobody is allowed to use firearms that are unlicensed.
Well, somebody observed that when we have criminal activities, it shows that there is a disconnect between the formal security institutions and communities, because we know that these things are done in communities, and these people, they have where they are, and a lot of times aiding and abetting criminal activities, a lot of people trace it to the community, and that maybe the police is not really having a grasp of community, because police cannot be everywhere. Like you say, collaboration, working with other sister agencies, and of course we do have community networks like the vigilantes and all that. Is it that police is not deploying them enough to be able to go out there and have information, not at the end of the day it would have happened? Is a kind of reactive instead of proactive measures to fight criminality in the state.
Okay, well, we have this initiative that was launched by the Commissioner of Police sometime, I think late last year, Community Safety Partnership Initiative, and it's already a fast growing initiative that most communities have bought, and we are already making significant and striking progress on this. Now, there shouldn't even be a disconnect in the first place, except that community is hiding something. Some communities have reached out to us that this is what is happening, and the bedrock of operations is intelligence.
Yes.
And the Commissioner of Police has already deployed intelligence officers in plain clothes to go around and gather information, but just like you said, they still can't be everywhere at the same time. So if you are in a community, the best you can do is give police information. Without that, you're not doing anybody any good, you're not doing the community any good, you're not doing the police any good. So it's the information you give to us that we work with. Now, we have reached out to a lot of communities. The CP even took time to put up a training team where we have the human rights lawyers from PDSS, Police Duty Solicitor Scheme. We have a mobile trainers that give little self-defense, So youths have been mobilized from various communities to participate in this community safety partnership. You can join the DPOs even at your local level for operations. Okay. Yes. So you see, these are proactive efforts by the command to reach out to communities for information. And if any community is holding back, it's not because they don't trust the police. No, it's because they have something to hide.
Okay. So I know government is continuing. So this government, on assumption of office, I know he did not hold on anything. He began to fight criminality to a standpoint, and we're also happy, just like you are saying, that what the police is doing in the state. But most people are still asking the question, if the government is continuing, what happened to the drones? I think they had like 6 security drones then by the former governor Obaseki, Governor Godwin Obaseki. So what happened to the drones? And they're still asking the questions of the late Arase security control. What happened to all this? Trying to boost security in the states.
Well, we had a breaking point on this whole security. I like to talk about it. This whole fight, we call it, my CP calls it a war. We are at war. Serious. Yes, it's that serious. So we had a breaking point where His Excellency Senator Monday Okpeyolo, the executive governor of Edo State, supplied the command with drones. He didn't just supply us with drones, he sponsored the training of personnel from Edo State Command, and they went on this training and they are certified drone pilots. So they came in, and since then we've taken the fight against, in fact the war the war against kidnapping, especially to another level. You see, just last night on the 14th of this month, that was like 2 to 3 days ago, we recorded a kidnapping in a whole axis of Edo State, and immediately the CP deployed the violent crime response unit, the anti-kidnapping unit, and the drone unit, especially the drone unit. You see, this drone unit is our baby project, and it is already making significant.
Okay, meaning that His Excellency Monday Okpeyolo added to, because people are really actually asking the questions, the 6 drones. So that means His Excellency added to the existing drones. And the harassing security control unit.
Well, as these drones came in early this year, and before it came in, the CP was already talking about it because we were excited to receive these drones. And we had a squadron of drones that was sent to us by the state government. His Excellency Senator Monde Dr. Olo sent us those drones, and like I said, he didn't just send us the drones, he sponsored the training of officers, because these are state-of-the-art drones. They are not just your regular they're not party drones, no. So these are drones that are capable of a lot of things and cannot be handled by just technicians. Exactly. So you see, last night we recorded a success, and these drones were able to spot the hideout of these kidnappers, and we rescued 4 persons, a couple and 2 children, last night around 9. And the distance between where, this drone gives us aerial surveillance, and then we deploy our ground troops, and this operation was done in collaboration with the Nigerian military, the vigilantes, the hunters, and we have videos of these things. So they went in there, they were able to locate the hideout, and those kidnappers abandoned the victims and ran.
So this is the issue of applying technology in policing. A lot of people say it's not about intelligence. Yes, you can have intelligence to fight.
Is very important.
Yes, but what about the capacity? Because you know how to do it, but the way without. So how is police committed to technology-driven crime, tackling crime and criminality through technology in the state here, apart from the drones? I know when he talked about the last administration, we had something of forward organizing base, the army and all that. That axis, because it's a troublesome zone. We've had cases of kidnapping at Iho. I think the governor had a particular structure he built there to ensure that these people are monitored. I don't know how this collaboration with all these things that the past administration have kept in place. How is the commissioner, how is the state command leveraging on them? Or is it that they are now having a new approach to tackle security, leaving out what was already established on ground?
Having in mind continuity.
Yes, we are talking of continuity.
Security is so important that it goes beyond a lot of things. You can only build on what is already existing. For us at the command level, we can't have 2 cars and then operational vehicles. Probably they are armored, and then at some point we'll say, no, these vehicles, we don't want to use them, we want to get new ones. We can, except they are unserviceable, but as long as they are serviceable, we modernize on what we already have in ground, and we manage our resources very well, because that's the only way you achieve significant results. Now, even if you have fleets of cars, if you do not manage them well, it's still as good as not having any.
Yes. Okay, so let me just take you back to, when you, at your opening remark, you talked about social media, so the new media now, the users of the new media, they are media citizens, how does the police command regulate the excesses of social media? How social media carries stories, fake news, fake information, misinformation, and how it affects security, and you really talked about it. So can you give a synopsis or expand it more for us to understand what the police command is doing concerning this new media?
Well, we've had our challenges with misinformation, and recently the Commissioner of Police already gave a marching order that of course false information is not just an offense, it's a criminal offense. Yes, and especially information that threatens the security of the state. Yes, we view it seriously. Something happened in Ikoba Hill axis and Duwawa axis, where a certain content creator came on air and said she was told some persons were kidnapped in schools at Ikubayi, Laduwawa, Western Boys, and so on.
She called names?
Yes, she said some students close to the school, they're coming back from exams, were kidnapped. Then she probably said her friend's church member told her, she said a lot of things.
Oh, then from them say, that's what people will say to him, say,
yeah, exactly.
It's not that he was very sure.
Yeah, and it didn't end there. She went as far as narrating the story, how it happened, how they paid ransom, what was seen at the place they were abducted to, how the relief, like water, food was coming in, and even after the first person was released, the number of persons that were left, students were kidnapped, and so on. So this caused a lot of panic, and eventually it led to protest, and eventually it almost led to breakdown of law and order. Now we had to move our resources, security resources, from where was even more important to tend to this surging protest, which was about to lead to
snowball into
something else. We had to manage it, and I don't want to go into the details, but an incident occurred from where we had to pull out resources from, something that could have been avoided, just to manage what was created out of fear in the first place. So insecurity thrives where there is fear, where there is a disconnect, where there is where people are scared to speak out. Insecurity thrives there. Now you see, we recorded another case of where she was arrested.
Okay, finally she
was traced, she was arrested, and she was prosecuted. And before then, she already confessed that those things were not real.
So that confession, did she do it online? Online?
Yes, she did. She did. She actually made a video even at the office when she was.
Well, because we're pressed for time, we were looking at the way forward. Looking at all this insecurity, and we do hear police say police cannot do it alone. You need to talk to the security agencies, tell us this, do that. So in reaching out to people to collaborate with police, what are the ways the Nigerian citizen can be of help to the police officer?
Yes, the Edo State Police Command is, doing the most we can. We are playing our parts in the fight. Let me quote my CP, in the war against insecurity in Edo State. So we urge you to play your part as citizens by giving us information. Now, no matter how minute that information might seem, give it to us. We'll weigh the credibility of it and we'll take action. It is better you tell us and we find out that it is false than you keep it to yourself and at the end of the day it turns into something real.
So I know when you talk about giving out information, citizens are always scared of protecting their identity.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to reveal your identity if you are that scared. If that's what you worry about, you don't even have to reveal your
identity. Is there any mechanism people can always do it without being seen?
Yes,
their numbers out there or their faces
there.
We have recorded a case not once, not twice in Edo State here, where we had an informant who led us over the phone. The thing about information is it's so important that it's very fragile. Yes, information is very fragile. So
very important. Yes, it's very important.
If you call us, if you even tell us, in fact, if you call me, even if it's in the middle of the night and you tell me I have information for the police, I would say no more, I'll call you.
So it's always teaching.
How important is this? People talk about data, being able to know who lives around you and all that. How is police taking it? Because a lot of people are living in the communities. They come in like any other person, and before you know it, you hear, that's what he did. Maybe landlords and all that. How important is this to police? You're talking about information in terms of data collection, being able to know who lives around you, who is in your house. Because we saw in your state, a building had to be destroyed because it was discovered it was being used for kidnapping activities, and the people in that neighborhood, maybe they would have known it or something. So how is the police taking it up also in terms of data collection about people that live around your communities, security strategies?
Yes, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Rowan Sinji Disu PSC, and the holder of the Nigeria Police Medal, has already taken or reactivated our database, the police database, which was already existing. So we have fingerprints of criminals and all that. Now the thing is, the laws in Edo State that are governing Edo State, especially on kidnappings and cultism, it's such a fine law that if a criminal, a cultist, is caught in your property carrying out these activities, you do not it's on you now to prove to court that you were not aware. Okay. Now you have somebody who comes back to your property by a particular time of midnight, and you know this person doesn't do any other thing in the daytime, and you know that this person, there is no how. You see, so
why will you even take the person, at the initial time? The person is coming as a tenant. You have to get the information, the personal data of that tenant.
Some you are even saying tenant. Some of these cases, these persons are living with their parents, not even the rented apartments. Yes, we've recorded many cases like that. So you are a parent to someone, and your child, whom you know does nothing, probably just finished secondary school, probably just finished university, is yet to work, and the person comes back at odd hours. Person doesn't do anything, and you can't tell us you don't even know that your son or your daughter is into drugs. So the day he's finally caught and you are acting surprised, so you have to go to court and prove why your house shouldn't be demolished, that you were not aware that
if at all they wouldn't have even demolished it before you even try to, because government is really out to
that you didn't know that when your daughter or your son brings in friends to your property, you didn't know that they're having or holding cult meetings.
It's so yes, we are really pressed for time. Thank you so much. So from what you're saying, it calls for everybody to be part of this security matter. It's not just about the police. Who is your neighbor? How well do you know the person close to you? And when you know certain things, do you just keep it to yourself till danger has really taken up in that environment? So please, the police is saying, collaborate with us. Like it's always said, police is your friend.
Police is your friend.
It's something we can keep sticking to, hoping that when we give them that opportunity, that ground to work, police will always work, and it will be better for all of us. Thank you so much, people, and including for coming to the studio. And of course, when we always need you for things like this, we always recognize you. Thank you so much. Yes, and that's the size of our program this morning. We look forward to having you join us again next week for another interesting edition. Until then, do have a blessed day.